How you doing? You're here with Loose Lips, and I'm super excited to say that next weekend is our annual fundraiser. It's a time that we have once a year, normally in September, to focus on the end of the summer, focus on lots of amazing art, music, and also focus on an amazing charity. And this year we're raising money for Headway East London. And we're joined by two people from the charity today. How are you doing?
Hi, hello. I'm Rosie. I'm the fundraising officer at Headway.
I'm a member here. I come here on the Thursday. I've been coming for 6 years.
And the charity, I'll let you do most of the explanation, but the charity is something I got introduced to through Rosie's work and their show on Fred's Radio. It's an amazing cause, helping people who have been affected by brain injury, helping educate people about brain injury, and working with people throughout their lives to give them creative opportunities. And one of those amazing creative opportunities is the studio that we've got some shots of that were just sat outside. We're sat in this small office so we don't get the train overwhelming our interview, but you'll see some of the shots of the studio. But tell us a little bit about the Submit to Love studio project, which is the first artistic thing I was introduced to here, and it's incredible.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favourite rooms at Headway, actually, and probably Chris's as well, who uses it really often. So it was Headway. One of the things we try to do is to offer lots of different occupational projects to our members, all of whom are long-term unemployed because of their injury. And this is like one of the most popular ones. It used to be in a small room in the main centre, and now it's got its own arch. We put on exhibitions for groups and individuals, and we've also started to push out our own merchandise, which has all been designed by members. It's just a room is always busy, and the atmosphere is lovely.
How have you been involved in the Submit to Love project?
Well, I came to Headway, and when you come to Headway after a few weeks, I came into the art studio, and Michelle from the art studio said you come here and do any art you want to. But I said to her, I'm no good at art. The secondary school told me I'm no good at art. And I don't think I'll come here. But later on I did, and then I started to do art.
Did you find that you actually had some art that you wanted to share, and that you weren't as bad as your secondary school teachers?
But after brain injury, you don't care anymore what people think. You just do it for yourself.
You just want to express yourself, yeah. Cool. And so, do you think that the artistic output that this encourages, it can have a positive effect on people who have got brain injuries? How it helps them on the therapeutic side?
For me, it helped me a lot to work through various things, and you can see it in people that come here as well.
Cool.
So, I can think of one person, and Michelle persuaded him. He was into technical drawing, so he just used black and white, and it's very precise. But now he's using slapping on the acrylics, just doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, the studio team is actually incredible. They're really good at encouraging people, and
cool.
Yeah.
And do you think that the sort of therapeutic, expressive benefits that it has here are slightly different, I suppose complementary to those that you might get from more medical therapeutic work?
For me, I suppose I've read that it uses different sides of the brain and that sort of thing, doesn't it? But I suppose Chris might be better to answer that one. Do you think, Chris, is it complementing the other forms of support you get at Headway?
Well, from the medical point of view, it's not art. What happens here is not really art therapy. art therapy happens in Headway as well, but it's therapeutic. And it's working through your problems.
It's a bit more holistic, yeah.
So I think one of the things we're quite keen to emphasise is that the people in here are artists. So we do have an art therapist who comes in. That's a separate thing. So this is actually, we're very interested in the idea of, I suppose, outsider art, for want of a better term. We're not quite happy with that term, but yeah, the idea that everyone has that artistic potential in them. And I mean, even me, I get inspired by this place,
Big props to Headway for bringing it out.
Yeah, exactly. So
cool.
It's cool.
All right, well, thank you very much for chatting to us. That's interesting.
Okay.
We're now here with Dave and with Rosie again. And I remember the first time that I came to Headway, I came just on banging point of lunch, and I tried some amazing Mexican food, and I think I'm right in saying that you were partly responsible for that, and you're involved with another project here, which is the kitchen side of things, the kitchen project. Can you tell us a little bit about how that fits into Headway?
It's actually amazing. It's the only project I've seen in any of the resource centres and day services I've been to that is service user led. So there's a kitchen facilitator, and we're normally rock up in the morning and we decide what we've got, what can we make, and we're gently, persuasively pushed in all the directions that are necessary for a handful of brain injured survivors to make lunch for 40 people every day. Every day is a fresh meal, cooked by service users, for service users and guests.
Occasionally hungry guests.
It's a very unusual thing to be allowed into a kitchen in a day service or hospital environment. They're normally very, very strict in here.
Separated usually.
Yeah, it's been brought together as something that binds the service users and staff in a way that can only be done over food, really. Everybody enjoys to sit down if they've been here. And what else is unusual is the whole place closes for lunch. You can't be in the art room on your own doing stuff, which is something that goes on in other places.
Yeah.
There's that community cohesive thing about coming together
times,
and everybody having lunch. You can speak to other service users you don't see throughout the day. If someone's in the art room, I can see them at lunchtime. There's lots of members of staff that get hassled during their lunch breaks.
Yeah.
Some even in the office, I suppose.
That's good.
And it's a very rewarding experience to have people come up to you and say, "That was great, thank you." You feel like you've done a little bit towards helping service, helping a fellow service users, members, as we like to say. The kitchen manager's amazing, Thomas. I mean, we also run a supper club every 6 weeks, and we have people come in and pay to eat our food. 3 courses, normally themed, cooked, everything's fresh.
Amazing.
And we have 50, 60 people every 6 or 7 weeks come into Headway, and it's a great opportunity for people to come in and experience what it's about, the ethos behind Headway. There's normally people with some poetry or some music around it.
Yeah.
And service users, a lot of service user families will come to these events, and that's their inputting into the service by coming, paying, enjoying. That's the word. The connection that's made through food here is quite big, and the idea of service users making lunch for service users is very, very unusual. I mean, who trusts people how trusting you've got to be with people with disabilities and hot oil and pans and things like that. So
Especially in this day and age, it's amazing that trust to then is made possible. So
yeah, I mean, even down to the fact that we've got a hot water urn is I find always impressive.
Yeah.
You know, so it's given me real sense of achievement. It's things that you would never have done before you've had an acquired brain injury.
Yeah.
You're able to do. The thought of cooking for 40 people is daunting, but it's done every day, and it's done by many hands making light work of what we have to do.
So,
Big up Headway for giving us these opportunities.
big ups for chatting to us. Thank you very much, man. So another one of the projects that I want to find out a little bit about is Who Are You Now, which delves into some of the amazing stories of the people involved with the charity and people who it's supporting. Tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, that was it was actually before my time at Headway, but we still like have a website for it, whoareyounow.com, which has a collection of podcasts and written articles that were collected. Well, they were collected by someone who wrote them, so that it's presented in the way that the members are speaking as well, and it's just about because we support people with acquired brain injury as opposed to people who are born with a brain injury. One of the things we deal with at Headway, which is really like key, is the unique but very traumatic experience of the before and after the incident, and the feelings, often feelings of loss and quite a great big change to someone's life and the lives of the people around them. Is a huge thing for someone, and it's something that I think can be quite difficult to communicate very quickly. Something we have an issue with sometimes as a charity, trying to get people to support us, is to try and encapsulate the huge spectrum of brain injury, what it means, what its effects can be. Yeah. And those effects aren't just physical, they're psychosocial or psychological, they're emotional, they affect your life and your personality sometimes. And so it was the idea of we want to support people, the survivors we support, we want to help them in rebuilding and identifying their identity, who they are now. So the project was called Who Are You Now? And it was about, but it also covered who they were before, for want of a better word. And the stories are fascinating. It's another thing about how people with disabilities are often branded and put into like a two-dimensional category, as many people are. Yeah. So it's about bringing back the multiple dimensions of someone and who they are, despite this and because of this, in fact.
Yeah. The amazing thing about that, I guess, is the benefit it has for the individual in terms of them exploring their past, present, future, and also the public understanding, augmentation of that consciousness around the topic. And all these amazing projects you talked about, the ones we've had a lucky insight into today, as well as the others that happen, they obviously take a huge amount of effort from the people involved to make that possible. And you touched the surface today. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about what it takes to keep the charity going, what your funding streams are, and maybe what some of those challenges are, and the amazing work that you all do here?
So Headway East London is unique in London for supporting survivors of brain injury with a holistic model of support. So not only do we think about the physical needs and possibilities of rehab and possibilities of managing physical effects of the brain injury, we think about the psychosocial effects as well. So as well as things like we have a gym, we can offer speech and language therapy, or we do art and music therapy, communication. We also think about identity building, and so these projects are something that is quite difficult to pin down sometimes. And when we try and communicate that support on paper, it's a lot more than it probably is. There's a lot more than the sum of its parts in some ways. Yeah. So something we the biggest challenge, I think, is kind of mapping that onto
how we can receive the income we need. So Headway is an independent charity. 80% of the income is received from local authorities. We work with 13 London boroughs, and they, when survivors are assessed and judged as reaching criteria to come to the service, they are then given a personal budget, and that personal budget helps pay for the services here. However, because of, the economic situation at the moment, funding cuts, that sort of thing, some of the 13 boroughs don't pay us full cost recovery. So it costs about £105 per person per day for everything that we provide, but we're getting on average £87 per day per person. So there's that deficit, which is over £100,000 is there, and we are fundraising for that. So charitable donations of any kind help us match that deficit and continue doing what we're doing, which involves trying to reach more people. So not just Headway, the hub here, we also have support groups, we work with a local hospital, we work with Enfield's CCG, we do other things, and we have a community support worker service to try and reach out to more people, because there are many, of which there are many. I think about 40,000 in London.
It's amazing. All I can say is everyone who is hearing about this today or has known about it before, considering coming to the event next week, or even if you can't come to contribute in other ways, please take note of what Rosie's saying, because that contribution is incredibly important to the survival of all these amazing services. And I guess one last question. Is there any other way people can support as well as fundraising? Do you have voluntary opportunities available?
So we have an amazing cohort of regular volunteers, and so if anyone's interested in joining the fam, we need people coming in 1 day a week for at least 3 months. That's so they can build rapport with members and with the community. So that has to be a 3-month minimum commitment. That's amazing. We're always looking for more volunteers. It's been a really wicked way of reaching out and building the community a bit more. Other ways are we have lots of events. We do art exhibitions, supper clubs, as was mentioned before. Other ticketed events that we put on. They tend to involve members and what they're interested in too. So it's a really lovely way to meet everyone. And if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, it's Headway East London, and the art studio is Submit to Love. I'm sure we can link these as well.
We'll link it all in, yeah.
Then you'd find out all of our news and what we're doing, and it would be lovely to grow the community. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much for watching. If you're around next Saturday, we're going to be throwing our fundraising event for Headway East London. It's at Grow Tottenham. It's from 2 in the afternoon till 10 p.m. We've got 3 areas, if not 4 really. We've got lots of live performance, all kinds of rappers, live acts, live electronic acts. We've got a room full of amazing DJs. We've got some exhibitions. We've even got some audio-visual exhibitions in a dedicated space. And all of it is in aid of the awareness as well of Headway East London. Come down, please support, and we'll all be celebrating the amazing work that's going on here. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much.